Hello, all, and welcome to the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Fanatics podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Coolbaugh. Today, I have me a very special guest, TJ Cooper. TJ, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Oh, awesome. Anytime I can talk to somebody about their books and hold it in my hand, I feel a lot better. So,
Yeah.
my wife, you sent me this amazing book, and then, another author, Jeffrey Smith, sent me two of his, one of which I was like wanted for so long, and I was like, I
hmm
usually don't do paperbacks anymore, so I held up both of your guys at the same time, and I think it's in both videos. I was like, these are such cool covers. So yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, sweet, this is really cool. So I'm really excited. We'll
hmm
talk about why I'm excited about your book here in just a little bit. But thank you so much for coming on the show today and talking to us about your book and your writing experience and letting us kind of pick your writer brain. Really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and just talk about it with you, man. I really enjoy your
Perfect.
podcast. So I
Well, thank you. I
just
appreciate it.
listened to the JL Odom podcast about
Oh,
her
she was
by
so
Blood
much
by
fun.
Salt. So yeah, she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a lot of fun. I still haven't read her book yet. I know she
It's
just
on my list for
I know
next
she just
year. Yeah.
yeah, she just won the SPFBO, so I'm really
Yeah.
excited for her about that. So that
Yeah,
makes
super
me
cool.
really anxious to read it as well.
Yeah. And I got to plug my man Adrian, a friend of mine, M. Gibson, who came
Mhm.
super tight, right? Second place,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was so close. Closest one in SPFBO history, which I understand because I've read his book, but not hers yet. So that's on my reading list
Oh, wow.
at the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah, for next year. But Mushroom Blues was absolutely amazing from sci-fi and kind of like urban fantasy, like kind of like mystery vibes on a
Mhm.
sci-fi world. It was like super, super good. So if you guys haven't checked out Adrian's book, yeah, I've interviewed him twice, talked about the contest during. It was cool to talk the after effects with JL Odom, but they were both like such gracious people towards each other. It was like crazy. So it's very like
Mhm.
both of them like how to act, I think, in the industry when you win or lose. So it was super cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, her book just sounds amazing. I actually bought both of them, so I'm like really excited just to. I love military fantasy, so it's
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah, yeah,
jam.
absolutely.
So yeah. And I love desert settings too. Her and I were just like vibing on the desert settings.
Mhm.
Even before the chat, we were like talking and it was super cool. But yeah, thank you for checking that one out. Everybody should check that out though. She was amazing. Adrian's always amazing. It was really fun. But we're gonna get into you and your journey and your books because I love talking to people. I'm like like Smog, right? From The Hobbit, like or Gollum. I love my precious is, right? And I
Yeah,
need the new
yeah.
shiny thing. My wife always teases me. She's like, read this book before getting another one on Kindle. And I'm like, what language are you speaking? Is it Elvish, Orcish? Like, leave me alone, you know? Klingon, like, I don't know what it is, but it's not my language, you know? So what has your writing journey been like up until this point?
It's been pretty uh non-existent up to this point, really.
I feel ya.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I just had always kind of wanted to really. I had written, I think, like a couple books. I say books. I wrote like one sequel to Return of the King, but it was Return of the King, the movie, not the book. And it was
Oh,
about
that's cool.
Aragorn's son. And like each chapter was like a page long. So it wasn't really anything very special about that.
That's some
And
cool
then
fan fiction, though. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah. Oh, it was definitely fan fiction. I remember
Yeah.
I sent like uh I made my parents write an email. This was like right after Return of the King like came out on DVD and everything like that. And I made my parents like write a fan email to Peter Jackson about like, hey, I have this idea for a sequel to Lord of the Rings. And it was he wrote back, he was like, oh, thanks so much. You know, we're a little
What?
busy and
That's
everything.
so
But like, you
cool.
know, this was back in like email days, so you know, it's probably his
Still,
agent or
that's
something like
amazing.
that. So
That's super cool.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So that was
Dude, I
funny.
would
So
frame that email. I would put that right on the wall.
I
That is
if we
amazing.
could find it, I don't know that my
Yeah.
email might have changed, might have gotten lost in the digital
Yeah.
space there. So
So cool. That's super. That's
um,
a cool story, though. That's amazing. That's
yeah.
really neat.
So, but no, it's been kind of non-existent. When I was kind of leading up to writing, I'm sure you know. I know many of the self-published people have been watching like a lot of Brandon Sanderson's lectures, like the
Oh,
ones that he
great
posted
lectures.
on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would just listen to those just constantly, mainly as like a podcast form, or like you know,
Yeah.
I watched one of them. Like I put it up on the TV and everything like that. I had my notebook out. I was taking notes, everything like I was actually in
Oh, yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and then it was very helpful. I will say that it was very, very helpful. But at the same time, I think once you actually start writing yourself, you'll kind of figure out more of, okay, this works for you. It may have worked
Mm.
for Sanderson or somebody else, or
Yeah.
whenever somebody else talks about writing, but this works for you. And then I would find out certain, especially with writing this book, I definitely figured out, like outlining. I changed completely how I outline now by writing this
Oh,
book.
interesting.
And I had, originally I would just do like bullet points, but it got to the point where my bullet points were, pages long
Oh, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'd be like, okay, let's just scrap that. Let me just write down all of my ideas for this chapter. And if I have like a good line or something like that, I'll just, it's already in my head. I'll go ahead and
Mm.
write that down too.
Yeah.
And so that definitely changed a lot. I had, you know, taken the advice of Brandon Sanderson and being like, hey, just prove to yourself that you can write a book first before you publish it. So I had written, you can probably see on the bookshelf, I'm a big Halo and Star Wars fan. So I'd
Mm.
written two Halo books, and I wrote a Star Wars
Oh,
book
that's cool.
just to like prove that I could write it. They'll probably never see the light of day to anybody but me. Um, but
I've heard that before, and then
yeah,
Kevin J. Hearn got to write his, and I
yeah,
read it. It was pretty good. So
yeah. I mean, who knows if anybody from Lucasfilm or Halo Studios is watching? Hey, I got ideas. um, uh, but yeah, so I just wrote those just to kind of prove that, hey, I could at least, the length is fine. My writing will get better like the more I write. So then this one, The Shadows Vendetta, which is the first book of a 4-part series, a Bond of Silver. I almost called it A Ball of Silver. Yeah, there we go. So very, very proud of that cover. I didn't do
amazing.
it. I'm just very happy with the art direction and the art
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
design and cover design, just how it turned out, just absolutely gorgeous.
I
Um,
just have to plug our other video here where that's going to be a couple days after this, so make sure you guys check that out. I actually videotaped the unboxing of the book and talked a lot about just the typography, the colors, the art, blurb, stuff like that. So just wanted to say, make sure you guys check that out because I think you guys will enjoy some of the things that I pointed out about TJ's book. So super cool. One of them, in which it's going to be hard for me to do here, but the cover is really cool, but when you actually pull it out to its full, I mean, it just really adds to it. And I know that
oh,
it like I just want to bring it up just because you mentioned the cover. There are so many things like I asked, like, so my first urban fantasy full cover, I was like, the guy, the artist, like Tom Edwards was like, do you want the whole thing? I'm like, you bet I do, because I want something as cool as you have, when you actually like pull the whole thing out
mhm.
with this scene. I was
Yeah,
like, I want to be able to see the whole scene because I think I just want to point out to people because it's part of not craft, but with writing. But if you're independently published and even if you're traditionally published, I think you should really be think about how you're selling. So, if I see this whole piece of art, and you advertise it anywhere, right? With the typography, without, the whole thing, I'm like,
mhm.
holy crap, I need that in paperback, like
Yeah, yeah,
that's the type of
exactly.
thing you want people to do. So I just pointed that out in
Mhm.
the video. I'm like, this is the type of book, like cover that makes people not just want it on Kindle, makes it, they want a physical copy. And a lot of people will do the Kindle for cheaper and then buy a physical copy, if they really like the book, which I think is a really good just marketing strategy. So I think it's really
Yeah.
genius that you did the full cover that way. It looks incredible.
Oh, thank you very much. And I just kind of just gave the art direction of it. The whole talent behind everything definitely belongs to both Nino Is, I'm pretty sure many people who are watching have seen his artwork all over the place. He did the probably what he's most known for in terms of the book space is his work on the 11th Cycle
Oh,
book by
yeah, that's a
Ian
great
Van
one.
Hardman. Just absolutely gorgeous cover art. And then I can't get another one out because it's there. I got too many books stacked all over the place. But who did the cover design? Bodhi Dog Design, who did like the
Oh,
typography and
nice.
kind of the color overlay of it and
Oh,
everything a little
cool.
bit. Was Bodhi Dog Design, who's been doing Philip C. Quantrell, who's been doing like the Echo
Oh,
Saga. Right now,
yeah.
his current series, A Time of Dragons, he did all of his
Oh, yeah,
cover
yeah.
designs. Just absolutely phenomenal job, and both of them have just been amazing to work with and very inspiring. And felt like I just made a couple new friends in it, so which was very
Yeah, yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So
I think it's kind of hard maybe on my camera, even though I got a newer quality camera, but like if you actually get the physical book cover, it really feels like the main character on there is like actually going to like come out. And yeah, the way that he did, just like, I just love the way that the edges and everything worked. Like even the typography, like I hope people can see it, but
Mhm.
like the bowstring comes right through. I mean, there's just so many
Yeah.
little pieces that make it really unique. So I would strongly recommend if people are watching to go to our description where you can find TJ's links, and I would strongly recommend getting your own paperback because this is definitely you and Jeffrey Smith. Those are like the two that I've gotten a lot sent to me recently. No offense to anybody else, but those are like the
Oh
two I was
yeah.
like most excited. I showed my wife; she was like, "Okay, like those are really cool. We'll figure out how to put
Oh,
another bookshelf in the basement." I
sweet.
was like, "We did it, guys!" So thank you, TJ.
Yeah,
Thank you,
there you
Jeffrey.
go.
So
There you
it
go. Yeah,
was
man.
awesome.
No, anything to help grow the library and anything to, encourage you to get more book space because Lord knows I certainly need it too. So
Yeah, I think I'm officially a library now. I think you have to have like 1,000 books to be like official. We were looking at some of my
oh
students and
really?
I
Oh,
2 years ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
yeah.
wife, she's like, you have like 5 libraries now. I brought a bunch of my stuff from my old classroom when I was teaching English and stuff home, and then I haven't had
Mhm.
space in my new school and classroom the last 3 years to bring a lot of books in. So she's like, when are you
Mhm.
gonna get these out of here? I was like, oh, I am really trying, but really, I'm trying to get that library status. Hope she's not watching this right now. But yeah, what an amazing book. So. Speaking of
Yeah.
books, though, in your book, what genre or genres do you currently write in and why?
Just fantasy right now. So maybe that'll change in the future. Uh, we'll see, if this ends up not necessarily becoming like a lucrative thing, but just if this, I really enjoy writing and I do enjoy other different genres other than fantasy. But fantasy just really spoke to me just to start out. I've always been just a massive fan of, Lord of the Rings, especially just reading fantasy too. I don't know what it is just about getting lost in such a it's almost like coming home. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
there's different genres of like cozy fantasy, epic fantasy. But even if I'm reading like something as dark as like Joe Abercrombie or something like that from the
Mm.
first Law series, I still feel like that cozy feeling of like, ooh, I'm getting lost in a world of something like that. Even though these are all horrible people, I'm still, I'm still having a really great time with it. So it's, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is about that. It's just the sense of adventure, the sense of just exploring something and kind of like this natural environment. Because that's what we think of when we think of mostly in fantasy. Everything's like in wide mountain ranges and forests and open deserts with, maybe there's a city or two out there, or maybe there's like a lost ruin or something. It's like that sense of exploration, I think is
Yeah.
very fun, especially very intriguing to explore within fantasy, just to, either deal with something that's very familiar yet different, or deal with
Mm.
something that's completely unique in and of its own right. Similar to like like what Brandon Sanderson is doing with the Stormlight Archive with Roshar.
Mm.
Like there's
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
very very unique setting compared to a lot of other very much compared to my own setting of just like,
Oh,
hey,
cool.
it's your typical fantasy type woods, mountains, open plains, stuff like that. But and then what you were talking about, Adrian Gibson's world, his is very
Mm.
much like a futuristic type fantasy setting.
Yeah, there were a lot of fantasy elements in there. It was really, which I wasn't expecting, because like, yeah, I think that's what I like more because you got Star Wars behind you. I was always like, I love science fiction, and I realized like, oh, I actually like sci-fi fantasy the most. And then having that
Absolutely,
fantasy,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah. It's
I
hard
like
though
you mentioned that
because
exploration though. That's just sorry, I'm having a breakthrough because the best parts I think of some of the books behind you were like Luke discovering old Jedi knowledge or where they
Mhm.
discovered old technology from these past empires or or peoples or something like that or the Sith or something. So I think that yeah, and
Yeah,
like it's fun, right, to go with them to new worlds and it's funny, right, where they have all this technology. We assume, right, that all the worlds and stuff have been explored, but I think that's the fun part about it is that they have so many worlds that aren't explored or aren't explored fully. So you get to be with the characters exploring. So I
yeah,
just think that you pointed that out really well, and I never really realized that's why I liked fantasy or sci-fi when they do that kind of thing. So that makes total
yeah,
sense. That's super cool.
yeah. Well, it's that same kind of, I think that's why fantasy video games are so popular too, especially for like RPG type stuff, because you want to incentivize the player to go out and explore the world. And
Yeah, yeah.
usually it's fantasy setting, fantasy setting type set video games set within a fantasy world that are usually, I think, the best at that. I think of Elden
Right.
Ring, Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild, Witcher 3, games like, or
Yeah, yeah.
Skyrim, the big one. Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's very much a sense of wonder, and just again that adventurous vibe that you're going on a quest with these people, and they're discovering maybe what's familiar with them, but it's unfamiliar to you. So it's fun
Yeah.
to kind of just explore that, I think. And I think fantasy does. I think that's probably the best genre that it definitely does in. And
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
do like that you bring up Star Wars as a sci-fi fantasy, because I think some people kind of just coordinate off into sci-fi. I'm like, no, it's very much fantasy first, then sci-fi afterwards.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I fully defend that, of being like, it's very much a fantasy story first, and then it's sci-fi. So trust me, the
Yeah, yeah.
fantasy elements are a lot more pushed to the forefront than the sci-fi parts are.
Well, I've like argue with people about that, and I'm like, the force like controls every. I'm like, you're starting with, and what's the best part in my opinion, right? Besides the exploration, it's like the exploration of the force through, and the
Yeah,
universe
yeah.
through it. Like, I think Yoda says it best, right? Like it binds us, connects us, like brings the galaxy
Hmm.
together. It's like everything I think revolves around that fantasy aspect, and like even the lightsabers, right? Like, yeah, it's a sci-fi technology, but it's really a fantasy weapon with a sword, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely. It's
yeah, yeah,
Excalibur, basically.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I also think like you bring up like great video games, but like Dragon Age, the first one, I think was so
Oh,
fun
yeah.
because
Oh my
you
gosh.
get to
Yeah,
explore so much of the world. You get to go to the meet
yeah.
the dwarves. You get to go down, that was like some of the best gameplay I've ever played was when you got to, re-explore some of their old, haunts and dungeons and defeat some of their old enemies and stuff and discover or like
Absolutely.
Oblivion, Skyrim. I love going, whether you're going to the dwarven ruins or some of the elvish ones, and or the
Mhm.
Dwemer, sorry, or the dwarves, right? Yeah, it's always fun. That's what my favorite part is
Yeah,
on those games is just to like Oblivion Skyrim is just to go, and that's what I would do at Morrowind too. I like barely ever did the main quest. I just would
yeah,
just to hang out, right? Just to explore the world, get
yeah,
some world building in and learn how to do it
yeah.
from a game perspective. It's just absolutely
Hmm.
amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think Oblivion and Skyrim did it best because if you followed the main story, they usually would make the quest markers really
Yep.
far away in the map. So as you
Yeah, yeah,
walk
yeah.
there, you're just discovering all these new different
Yeah, you
pathways.
had
And then
to.
you end up kind of forgetting the main storyline of what's going on. Like, I remember it's in the main story when you're going down into the Dwemer city of
Oh, yeah.
Blackreach,
Yep.
but it's,
Yep.
underneath Markarth. And there's a whole, I think there's like two different side quests in Blackreach, a city underneath the city. And no, you don't find the Elder Scroll in Blackreach. Oh my gosh, I haven't played the main quest in Skyrim in so long. So
Yeah, I haven't played since before my son was born, so it's like almost 3 years now.
it's
I
been a
can't wait to
while.
get back to it.
Yeah.
But you make a point though. Like Oblivion had like I remember there was one like the I thought Skyrim was cool with the writing, but like I thought it was second place still to Oblivion because Oblivion there was so many quests where I was just like, holy crap! Like
Hmm.
they were written so well, and I don't think like I think like Diablo 2 is my favorite, particularly with the expansion set with or the pack or whatever with some of the quests and the writing. I mean, it was like you just went on really cool quests. It was just really fun, from a story
Yeah.
standpoint. And then I think Oblivion for me is like number two. And then maybe like
Hmm.
Baldur's Gate 2, the original, like the OG, was
Yeah.
just really fun, but like they were so much fun. Like the gameplay was great, but I think the stories were just amazing that they were helping you tell through that type of medium. And it was just really, really fun, right? To be those characters and to go through those worlds. So, but again, that's what we're trying to do with this medium, right? It's only fair.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We're trying to kind of introduce it, tell the main story without having to do so much side content. Um,
I
That's
want to just
that's
do
kind of
cozy fantasy with like side quests. Like, you know what I mean? Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
it,
Well, you
yeah,
could
like
be like
you never get the main story. You only get my guy and his crew, like the side quests, you know? Like I think that would be
yeah, yeah,
so much fun. So yeah, it's really funny.
yeah. That would be that'd be a very interesting idea. That would be a very yeah.
Well, I
Okay,
got
I'm
to like
trying not
put
to
my man.
lose an idea right now.
Yeah. Well, like SL Roland, like he had Sword and Thistle, and that one was so cool because it was essentially a side quest. But I thought he
Hmm.
did such a great job because the guy basically is like his main character is like kind of done with main quests, but like he does these side quests. Essentially, people pay him, and he's a mercenary for doing side quests. And the last one,
Hmm.
like particular one he goes on, it was just such a great story. But I was like, my mind's been percolating because I'm like, I'm not much of a tea shop guy, but like having somebody go on a side quest being urban fantasy, it totally changed my idea about writing cozy fantasy. Because for
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
cozy, like you just said earlier, right? Like the world feels familiar and it feels like your home. So for me, cozy fantasy is being in the genre and you doing something fun with the characters and doing some exploration like he did in that book. So I think that you're
yeah,
definitely onto
yeah.
something. So it's interesting, I think, when you think about cozy. But yeah.
I've got an
Uh,
idea, but I won't share it out loud just in case somebody steals it because I can't trademark stuff. So I'm thinking of like something. I'm like, oh, that'd actually be pretty cool. We'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah,
cool. No, I look forward to that. That's awesome. I did that. I'm glad I could get somebody an idea. It's
yeah,
always fun. It's the teacher in me. Like I can't help it. I take pride
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
in
Can't
it.
help it. Go back
Yeah,
to your roots.
yeah. But now we're going to talk about really like what's like my favorite question is talking specifically about your book, A Shadow's Vendetta. And if you don't mind telling us a little bit about what it's about and how you came up with this idea.
Oh my gosh, this is always the hardest. Like every time I look at this question, I'm like, oh, I have an idea of how I can pitch my book, and then it completely changes as soon as somebody asks me the question. I'm like, oh crap, I can't remember. um, no, so A Shadow's Vendetta, like I said at the beginning, it's essentially it's Act One of a 4-act structure within a series called The Bond of Silver. So A Shadow's Vendetta is really about kind of like introducing the world, introducing the characters, really introducing the stakes and everything like that. Um, Starts off with um, two of the main characters, 40 and Talik. Talik, who's also known as the Shadow, who's on the cover. So I've got my, oh yeah, it's up here. I've got my
I
hardcover of it.
got you.
So yeah, that guy
Twins.
right there.
What an awesome character. Love the
Yeah,
armor.
yeah. Yeah, no, I really love everything about the character design and everything of it. So
Mm.
yeah, it was really awesome. But it's the Shadows kind of he's had some stuff happen to him, and then 40 and the Shadow cross paths in the first chapter, so that's not really a spoiler. So that scene actually right there is in the first is the first chapter. So
Oh, that's cool.
which is pretty cool. Well, there's a prologue and then there's chapter one. So I won't spoil what's in the prologue. Um, but they cross paths and then some stuff is kind of just revealed about these two might be bonded in a certain type of way.
Hmm.
Again, I'm trying not to reveal too much. But the
That's fair.
main
I just
like
need you to
kind
wait
of
till January because you're on my
yeah.
list.
Yeah, exactly. But the main point of it though is that I wanted to tell like a fantasy story that was mainly told through the perspective of elves.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and because yeah, every POV character except for one is an elf in this book.
Oh, cool. That's good to know. I love me some elves.
Because I was yeah, I was really inspired by Tolkien's The Silmarillion. Um,
Mm,
I know some people are like, man, it's a slog to get through. I'm like, man, I love that book. I don't know what y'all are talking about, man. So,
I've gotten
um,
there.
yeah,
People are like,
yeah,
"Oh, why'd you do that?" I'm like, "I thought that was a fabulous TV show. I thought that was a great comic. I thought that was a great book." Like each that
yeah,
just
yeah,
shows, right? Like each to their own, like everybody's
Mhm.
different. If Papa Tolkien, right, who helps to start the genre, people are like, dude,
Exactly.
like I think it's only fair to say that we just need to find our audience too, even for, not even within the genre, but for particular books, that you write or within the genre or the genres that you write in. So,
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of just wanted to tell like a story like that, and it was after a reading session that I had, you know, one of the few times that I'd reread the Silmarillion. Was just looking for other books like told from this perspective of elves, and I couldn't really find any.
Hmm.
At least like for some that I was really looking for, you know, and I was, you know, at that had like in the back of my mind, like, you know, thinking of different ways to, you know, kind of express my creative outlet. And I was reading the Dragon's Blade trilogy, the first
Hmm.
book in it, The Reborn King by Michael R. Miller. And I got to the very end of it, and I read about the author, and I hadn't realized that he had self-published this book. I thought it was a
Oh
traditionally
yeah.
published book.
Yep.
Um, so
He
that
sold
really
enough copies
inspired.
where you would think that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it got to that point where I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then that just
Hmm.
made me go down a rabbit hole of looking at all these different people that have self-published before,
Yeah.
um, and just finding all these really incredible, amazing works that have been done that, you know, it's unfortunate that they weren't given a chance in traditional publishing, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that they didn't, because otherwise we wouldn't have had this medium where they could have expressed themselves in this way,
Yeah.
you know, and we wouldn't have gotten these stories either way, you know. So I'm
Yep.
really happy that they have, you know, taken it upon themselves to express themselves and give us these stories. Because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten them.
Yeah, that's a
So
great
that
point.
was
Yeah.
he was really a big inspiration, and kind of like me figuring that out, figuring out that I could self-publish as well.
Hmm.
I kind of went through a little low point in my life. Kind of had this idea of writing a book in mind, and I kind of just sat there at like a lunch table one day and just wrote out the first chapter, um,
Oh,
without really kind of planning anything. I'm like, oh, just let me just see this go where this goes. At first, you know, 40, one of the main characters in it was a human, and by like the end of the chapter, he was an elf. So I didn't like go back and change anything. I
right.
just
Right there.
just kind of like wrote what I was feeling. And so that really helped out a lot. And then just lots of different ideas, you know, like I wanted to make sure that I think it's pretty obvious that I'm very much inspired by Tolkien, not only by the books, but by Peter Jackson's films as well, you know, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy. Um, a pretty big fan of Warhammer Fantasy as well.
I love
I
that.
think some people maybe could see a little bit in that in there. Big fan of like
That's
Greek
cool.
history and everything like that too. So there's one character in it that's like a big mythological type figure. His name's Alzendir, but it's also like pretty similar to Alexander the Great. So I'm like, I don't care if people put two and two together. It's okay. So
That's
like
cool. I like that. I think
that's
that's
kind of the
awesome.
point of it. So yeah. But yeah, so I just kind of just wanted to write a story, you know, that I'd really wanted to read, and that was kind of the initial spark of it. You know, was I
Yeah.
was I wasn't really finding a book out there that I was really wanting to read that was kind of like the Silmarillion, but told in a more like personal level. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it kind of had like the same type of depth of elven mythology that Tolkien was writing, um,
It's cool.
but not really told in that very third person limited, very on the ground, not necessarily from above, you know, like kind of speaking about the
Yeah.
gods and,
Yeah.
you know, everything like that. um
Yeah.
so yeah, I just that was yeah, that's to answer your question. Sorry if I
No, that's
just
really
rambled
cool.
off on a bunch of stuff.
So great. It's so discharging.
Uh-oh.
I have like a bee infestation all of a sudden,
Uh-oh.
like classroom, and they just like are trying to get out.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, the druid in me feels really bad, but I have students that are
Oh
allergic,
no, you're
so
good, man.
I can't have them make a hive in here again. I got somebody one year like get
Oh gosh, you
stung.
already had them make a hive in there?
Yeah, they're like trying really, really, really hard.
Oh
But
gosh,
I
that
I
stinks.
just noticed something that I just had to point out to everybody if you're checking out TJ's cover for A Shadow's Vendetta. When you were talking, I just could not help but notice, like, even the detail for like the cloak, like you can tell he's been traveling through the forest like a lot,
Mhm.
and like there's like
Yeah, yeah.
little holes, and like there are pieces missing because there's like purple, like purplish color, and then silver like outline, and I just find it so interesting that like you can totally tell. So I think that's like super cool. You make a really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
point. Michael stuff too, I just want to point out is like, if he, I've been talking to a lot of people about this that want to be traditionally published, and I'm like, nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Like, if that's your goal, it's fine, right?
Hmm.
Me, that used to be my goal. Now I'm like, I just want to get my stories to people and want to like kind of like if I could go hybrid, I totally would, and like use these traditional things to funnel, like Brandon
Yeah,
Sanderson has the
absolutely.
greatest model. But
Yeah,
just think it's interesting that you make a point is like for Michael, like if he did not go indie, right? And I think Matt Dinneman with Dungeon Crawl Carl is the same, right? And
yeah,
now
yeah.
they want him, right? But because of what he's already built, right? Travis
Hmm.
Baldry is another one, right? With Legends and Lattes.
Well,
Just kind of,
like
yeah.
Will White, he inspired
Oh, that's a
Michael to
good
go
one too.
traditionally public or
Yep,
self-published. So if we
yep,
wouldn't have had
yep.
that series, then I
It's just crazy to think about.
what's the what's
Cradle.
that series called? Cradle series. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, I cannot
Oh, I
believe
got
I
you.
forgot about that. Yeah.
I'm on like the Uncrowned, like whatever,
Hmm.
Uncrowned right now. I'm gonna start
Hmm.
that pretty soon. I have like 9 books. I'm like halfway through or like 70% through. I gotta just like push through
Yeah.
the next like month. This month's gonna be one of my biggest months for finished reading and reviews I've ever had. I'm so close to my record. I think my record's like 56. I really want to get to like
Oh
58 or
my
60 for the
gosh.
year.
Why?
Yeah, I'm like, it's gonna be hard because I'm like pumping out. So the rest of my
Yeah.
novellas and stuff too, but I'm really trying. But yeah, like I think like Michael, like I can't even imagine like just those three people, right? If they were not self-published, the amount of people that come on here and talk about them and how they inspired them, I can't imagine
Hmm.
if they got a rejection letter from traditional and then we're just like, oh, I'm just not going to do this. Like there have been by this point, like I've had to have interviewed like at least 200 different authors. Like, I've had quite a few people come back for a second time, but at least like 200, probably over that by now,
Hmm.
or creatives. And it's like wild to think of like if those like three alone did not self-publish, like this industry would be very, very different. So I think that's encouraging though, right? It's like who knows who the next Will White or Michael are, or Matt are, right? Or Travis. Or it could
Yeah.
be, maybe, like there are a lot of female authors, that have been indie and then them in particular, I think there's quite a few I've known over the years who have gotten, pulled really to go trad. So I think
Hmm.
it's really interesting to really think about, is that there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with indie because a lot of, the good things that have been born, I think that help to change the industry, whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, horror, mystery, or whatever, really comes down to, like you were saying, like indie as a platform. And I think it's a really good creative way for us, right, to try new things. I was just talking with one of the five authors I interviewed last week about that. We thought it was so interesting. It was like Simon Kuhn and I were like discussing that, I think, and it was just really interesting though, because I think that's just such a good point. But yeah, like you said, the same thing though, like Michael inspired you. I think that's so cool, because I'm holding this book in my hand. So maybe again, it's the teacher in me, but I'm thinking like, oh, I love when something I did can help somebody do something like this, or for
Yeah.
themselves, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just think that's really, really cool. I love me some elves, so I'm all about it. So
Well, hopefully you'll like mine. Maybe they're a little bit different. They're pretty traditional, but maybe just the slight differences maybe you'll like. So we'll see.
I'm like weird, man. Depends on the mood. Like writing too. I
Mhm.
have elves in a couple of settings that are like your typical like Tolkien-esque, but then I have my own setting, Legends of Uma, where they have like I try to explain why you get the traditional elf myth, where it's like, why are they always like druid or ranger like or whatever? Well, I have them like
Mhm.
why to protect the forest or the environment. I have them half chloroplast, so they're actually different shades of green in their skin.
Mhm.
And then why are they vegetarian? Well, they're technically vegetarian because they're half plant. So I like the traditional, but I also like when somebody changes things. So me, it just kind of
Yeah.
depends on the mood I'm in. But yeah, I think there's so much there that I've never seen anybody really do them the same, if that makes sense. Like even culturally, like
Yeah.
there's just always cool things. I love seeing what somebody does that's the same, and then different, and changes the trope, or just like maybe a different flavor of how you did something. I think that's what makes the genre fantasy and sci-fi so fun is a lot of people can do the same thing and it's never the same. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Well, even if like if you make like the typical, like Tolkien s elves of like elves being immortal, which is basically kind of I'm not going to say that my elves are immortal, but there is the line, like no elf has ever died of old age. Like these elves don't really know if they're immortal or not. Like no
mm,
elf has died of old age. We've only ever
it's
died
cool.
by battle or, sickness or something like that. Like we've never had anyone recorded of dying of old age. We've seen each other kind of get a little older,
That's
but
cool.
who knows? So there is that kind of question, but there is that, kind of, you could, you know, struggle with that immortality that they have to struggle with. They see people, they see the world or people wither and die away, yet they don't, they remain unchanged, something like
Yeah.
that. Like how do they deal with that? That how does
Mm.
each individual elf deal with that? Or, it doesn't matter. They don't have to be elves. They could just be somebody who's immortal. Like
Yeah.
I love it whenever they pose that in like a Dracula type story. I just think that's so cool. Like whenever they
Yeah.
do that with Dracula, I'm like, oh, yes, thank you for bringing that up.
I always find that. Yeah, I always find it interesting. Like, oh, like, would you be able to like stay sane, right? If you saw so much death, destruction. I read a book recently where like that's essentially like what was going on is like the main character was like worried about that. And it's like because everybody else he knows who has lived as long as he did, has basically gone crazy. And it's like tens of
Yeah,
thousands of
yeah,
years, you gotta imagine. Yeah, so I love when people
yeah.
like bring different things like that in because to me, I'm like, that was in Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales way back when I was like 4. I remember there was like a special.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a Halloween one or something, and like, yeah, like this guy was around for a really long time. And they like kind of posed that question in a kids movie. It was like really weird. But I
Yeah, yeah.
remembered that. I was like, oh wow, this villain is like this old. I can't remember if it was like a genie or who he was, but yeah, like posed that question to me from a writing standpoint really early on. And as a kid, I'm like,
Mhm.
man, that's really interesting concept. So I rolled with that when I was writing my own stuff in like middle school, high school, and college. I was like, this is very interesting concept to think about.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's really cool.
absolutely.
That's really neat. So when it comes to world building, what do you focus on the most?
Uh, oof.
Or maybe first?
It was actually, I think, the world building kind of came secondary to it. Uh,
Oh, okay.
the I think once I had initially gotten the main idea down for the story, and kind of like who my main characters were going to be, I then kind of started working on, like the different factions and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Which that to me I think was most important. Because in this story, the elves have established like an imperium, which is kind of like this section of land that's, you know, blocked off from
Hmm.
most other contact, either men that have either abandoned the place from a war that happened a long time ago. They kind of just fell into despair, like, I would rather just leave this place instead of staying to fight. Well, the elves,
Yeah,
they all
yeah.
stayed and fought.
Hmm.
Um, so they all established an imperium, and then there's 5 different houses of elves, and each one's kind of a little bit more independent from each other, but they still come together all under one imperium and well in the same. So like trying to make sure each one is distinct in and of themselves, and like how does that affect each person in charge's personality, or each character
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
different house, how does that affect how do they communicate with other houses. And then the different factions of men or dwarves. Dwarves are suspected to be extinct, but who knows? Maybe that question will be answered in a future book. Um,
That's awesome.
but
How would you know if they're living underground, right? Like maybe they're
yeah,
just not.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But I think that was kind of the big part of it, was kind of just like figuring out the different factions or the different tribes that kind of just make up this world. And okay, where do these people live? Okay, the elves of House Stag, they live in the forest. The elves of House Stallion, they live on the plains. So it's trying to establish like where they each different where each faction would live. Like the tribe of men that's it's introduced in the book, the Ruska, they live in the far north. They're very much inspired, if you couldn't tell, by the Norska from Warhammer Fantasy. So,
Oh,
but
that's
instead
cool.
of like making them like Vikings, I'm like, let me kind of like take a different approach. So, how I kind of came up with the Ruska name was I looked up the Rus, from the Viking era, and the
Mm.
tribe, which is basically old Russia, which is where
Oh, that's
that's
cool.
eventually where they all came from. So that was kind of like,
Mm.
let me take more of an inspiration from that part of the world instead of
Mm.
just do the traditional like
Oh, yeah.
barbaric Vikings and everything like that. So let me try to see if I can differentiate them.
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
myself, but also like, try to give them their own personalities as well. So that to me, that is the most important, is trying to figure out your people that inhabit your
I
world
like that.
first, and where your people would live, and like how that has affected how they interact with the world. It
Mm.
could also infect, wow. Could also affect how they view the world as well. Like there's certain religious or political beliefs or something like that. So I think that's very important, especially whenever you're world building. I think it's to, if you have a cool map and if you have everything cool, that's really cool. But a story requires people to inhabit that map, whether that's people, animals, or anything like that. So I think it's really important, and it was really important to me to like figure out, okay, where do these people come from? How many of them are there? What different factions are there as well?
Mm.
So that was definitely, I think, the first part of it. Once I had gotten kind of the main cast of characters down, was trying to figure
Oh,
out,
cool.
okay, well, where do they belong? Which tribe do they belong to? So. Mhm.
Oh, it's super cool. I think that makes sense though. Like I had some kingdoms, I was working on a short story and I was like, I just needed like five factions like allied together for a particular
Mhm.
reason. And I kind of just like was thinking like, okay, I found one that was closest geographically speaking to where I needed to be, like at the event. And I was like, okay, who would be next to them? And then I found this really cool like Greek fantasy type uh kingdom picture, but it was like on a lake and like a series of lakes. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, that's really cool. So I was like, maybe it could be like forest and then swamps, forests, lakes in the middle. And then when I'm like, if you keep going, I guess the other way, like whatever, east, like I was like, okay, what do I do? But it was kind of interesting because I went like, I did the reverse. I did like geography first and then thought, what
Mhm.
type of economy would they have in that geography? And then what type of
Mhm.
people would then, like, what would they think? I'm a history teacher, so I just take a lot of things from history and just change them a little bit. But I
Mhm.
just want to point it out because I don't think there's a wrong way to do world building. I've asked so many people on here, and everybody does something slightly different to come up with something unique. So I think that's one of
Yeah.
our strengths, right? As people, is like, I don't have to do everything the same way you're doing, or even if I did, it'd still be different. So I think that's really,
Mhm.
really cool. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really neat.
And you could take it, the approach of, Joe Abercrombie is a writer that I greatly admire, and one that I could never uh, possess a fraction of his talent at all. Um, just an absolutely insane mind that he has. But he doesn't care about world building at all.
Unless
he
you're
he
reading the
said,
Devils, I'm gonna push back on
yeah,
that. Unless you're reading the
apparently if you're
Devils,
reading the Devils, yeah, yeah.
holy crap!
Um,
But he doesn't do as
yeah.
much as our people. That what he does is like laid down so well. I'm just like, holy crap! I
Hmm.
don't know what I'm doing at all. Like
Yeah.
I just got done with that book this week for book club. It was incredible. But
Hmm.
that's the
Yeah.
only book I've read of his
He-
so far. I know everybody. I'm so sorry. I bought 10. I just haven't read them.
No, it's like, I think you would really enjoy. Everybody kind of claims that his first trilogy and the First Law is their favorite. That's the only books that I've read of his, is his first
Oh,
trilogy
okay.
and the First Law.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
I've got his standalone stories to read next, which I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
cool.
that's probably what I'm going to read next. Um, but yeah, no, he does. He says he doesn't care about world building, but then I think he accidentally creates an interesting world to read about and everything like that, and that you
Yeah.
kind of just. But then again, I think that's the fun. What we were talking about earlier, I think that's the fun exploration of it. Like you want to know more about this world. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily given every information about it. But it would be interesting to know the ins and outs of it, and he just gives you enough information about it to become intrigued, along with his just insanely good character work and everything like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, so I said like, because like the Devils is like supposed to be a standalone, right? But like I'm hoping
Mhm.
my buddy and I are hoping that he he left enough open at the end where you could easily, where I don't think he wrote himself into a corner, even with a couple of things that happen. I'm just going to say that
Yeah.
at the end of the story. And I'm like really excited because I'm like, he left so much. So I'm like, everybody go buy it so we get more because the world that he
Yeah.
did build, it's like an alternative history. So it's like
Hmm.
Troy is the city in the east and it's kind of like the Byzantine Empire, but it's Troy. Like Troy came and did that. And there's just
Hmm.
so many little things he changed. Like it was just like, it was really cool because he takes something tweaks a little bit So you're almost like you're like, oh, I'm kind of an expert in this, right? Or I've heard of this, and then
Yeah,
he
yeah.
adds the new thing. Like the way that I agree, the way that he did that, I was like, oh my gosh, my friend was like, he calls it lazy world building, but he did it in a genius way, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
true. Yeah,
Well,
he's
his
like, talk about Lord Grimdark. Damn.
Oh yeah. Well, I love, speaking what we were talking about earlier, like different versions of elves. Like his versions of elves are like
Yeah,
they're the really bad villains of it and they're
yeah,
invisible. Like that's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's kind of crazy. I'm like, "Oh, I like
yeah,
that idea." And I
yeah,
love
yeah.
this honestly kind of sold it to on me was like, "Oh, like um because I think a lot of people, the initial pitch was, like, oh, Joe Abercrombie's doing like a fantasy Suicide Squad type book.
Yeah, yeah,
But then
yeah.
he got to talking about it, and he was like talking about the alternate history and everything like that. And he's like, and I made the Pope a 9-year-old girl, and I'm like, I like that idea. I'm like,
Oh, it's cool. Yeah,
that's a very
yeah.
interesting idea. I love that.
Yep.
That's so
And it
funny.
was interesting, like, yeah, like God. So, like, instead of Jesus being a dude and a carpenter, it was like, I think it was like it was a girl. It was the daughter of God, and then it was the like blanking like a farmer or something like that. Like it was switched, but then yeah, and then like she didn't die on a cross, she died on a wheel. So they make the
Mm,
circle, the sign of the circle or the wheel. And then but it's like he did such a great job because I teach about this next marking period about the differences between the Western Roman Catholic Church and then the Eastern like Orthodox Byzantines. And like I thought he played off of that type of history and their animosity towards each other so well. Like there was just so many things. My buddy and I were just like, holy crap. Like I bought a bunch of the first law. I think I have almost every book he's ever written, like actual book, not novellas and stuff. But yeah, my friend's like, well, I guess we'll have to read these as palate cleansers between Sanderson now. I'm like, yeah, you betcha. Like, and we've been
yeah, yeah.
reading like Andy Weir and stuff. But yeah, we were very, very impressed with the Devils in general, but the ending in particular and the world building. Like Sonny, the elf, ended up being like my favorite character besides Jakob
Mhm.
the night like it was like there was just so many great themes and stuff. I agree with you. I'm like if I could have like 1/1000th of his talent one day in writing or skill, I would feel very accomplished.
Yeah,
Like, I was just like holy crap like oh yeah, but it's like my friend, my buddy, and my cousin used to say like they used to go up. I'm from Michigan. I used to go to Michigan State, and like,
Mhm.
but they would say like before I went there, they would go and play open gym with a bunch of people and they would say like there's just different levels of college ball, right? Like guys that didn't make it could have probably made it at another school, right? Or a bunch of them across the country.
Yeah.
And there were like different levels. And I think of that with authors too, even like the big names, right? There are some people have a big name. I'm like, it was an okay book, right? It was good, whatever, it's in the genre.
Mhm.
But when I read The Devils, I was like, holy crap. Like you could just tell, like, that's like Patricia Briggs for urban fantasy for me. She's just like a step above. Her latest book
Mhm.
was just like it blew my mind. And she never sticks to the same formula. She just does different things now after like book 6 or 7, and she
Yeah.
always does it really well. It just like absolutely amazes me what people like that can do. But yeah, super cool.
Yeah. Mhm.
So when it comes to characters, speaking of Sunny and the elf and characters, when it comes to characters, what is your main goal?
To kind of just have them be fun to read about.
I really like that.
I kind of just made the goal of like, okay, I've been reading a lot and I've just been seeing a lot, not necessarily trying to go against the grain or anything like that, but I'm kind of, not trying to chase a trope of being, I want to write every single character as a relatable person or write
Yeah,
the villains as, relatable or something. I'm like, can't we just have like archetypal characters again, like again, taking inspiration from Tolkien, because that's kind of what he wrote, and I really miss that,
yeah, yeah.
I really miss that. And there is some relatability, I do think, in the book, and mainly in one character in particular, 40. I think he'll probably be the character that people relate to the most. But
Mm,
also just giving these characters their own personalities and just
mm,
being, putting them in situations that they would be in, and just
mm.
having that be interesting to read.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like the Shadow, Talik, he's probably the most unrelatable character in it,
Mm.
and I just want him to be fun to read about. Like I,
That's like Dritz Durden, right? Like I can't really,
yeah,
other
yeah,
than his empathy for other people, right? And his
Mhm.
his use of skill to protect others. But other than that, right, like I can only it's like way out of my league compared to even Joe Abercrombie, right? Like,
Oh
holy
yeah, yeah,
crap, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely.
it's but he's fun to read, and yeah, it's
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah, no, that was definitely the big goal and a big inspiration
That's
for the
cool.
Shadow, aka Talik, was Batman.
Oh, that's cool.
Because Bruce Wayne really isn't. I'll be honest. A lot of people are like, "Oh, Batman could be any of us." I'm like, not really. I'm like, not
Yeah.
really. I mean, that's only been like a few things, But
Yeah.
Bruce, I don't really think is that relatable. But that's what I think makes him so fun to watch. Like we love seeing Batman beat the impossible odds. We love seeing Batman just through sheer will just break through it. That's why Bruce Wayne would be the best Green Lantern because he just has insane willpower, but the ring never chose him.
Yeah.
So um
Which is
anyway,
probably a good thing because he'd probably be
yeah,
like
yeah,
Wish or something, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or Red or something, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I think
There is a
no, I
cool
think
comic where that happens though, and
yeah,
it's one
the
of the
Blackest
coolest.
Night. So I
Yeah.
think he was a Blue Lantern, wasn't he?
I can't remember. I'm like blanking all of a sudden, but it was super cool though. There was an
Yeah, yeah.
older one too, because that was like a newer run, but like when, oh my God,
Mhm,
I'm 38. So it had to been when I was like 7 or 8. I remember going and
mhm.
yeah, like
Oh,
he
no,
got the
he was
ring.
yellow. He was yellow. I forgot.
Okay,
Yeah,
I cannot
yeah,
remember.
he
Okay.
was yellow. He
Yeah,
was
it was
Genetically
super
poor. I
cool.
forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was super cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, what a great character to model another character after. But I'm a
Yeah.
DC guy. Marvel's great, love Marvel, but
Oh,
I always grew up like reading the DC comics and stuff, and yeah, I think they just knew how to make characters a lot better
you're
back
you're
then. So,
you're
oh,
preaching to
nice,
the
that's
choir
awesome.
here.
Oh, I love Nightwing. Oh my God, he's like
Oh yeah,
probably my
yeah,
favorite DC character. So, yeah,
absolutely.
super
Yeah,
cool.
no, you're definitely you're talking to the right guy here. I love
That's
Marvel and I really love what they do. I think they've definitely made some really great stories in comics. Shoot, if I ever got to work for Marvel one day, I think that'd be amazing.
yeah.
I'm sure, like any comic book fan would too. But
Oh
if
yeah.
I was stuck on a desert island and I had to choose, I'd be like DC, and then unfortunately, I'd probably have to choose Image Comics
Oh, I
over
love Image.
Marvel.
Image, Valiant, Devil's Due Publishing. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, because Image right now with Kyle Higgins is
Mm.
a writer, comic writer that I really really love. I love his run on Nightwing that he did for the New Fifty
Oh.
Two.
Oh
But
yeah,
he's
yeah, that
writing
was
a
great.
series. Yeah, yeah. He's writing a series right now called Radiant Black, which
Oh,
if you
cool.
just want like just to just to get immersed in the beauty of comics, read that series. It's
Oh, that's
absolutely
cool.
incredible. It just is everything that's great about comics. Um,
Oh, that's really cool.
it's kind of like Green Lantern-ish mixed with a little bit of Spider-Man-ish stuff. So
Mm.
it's like if you really like Invincible, you're gonna love
Oh, cool.
Radiant Black. I think maybe even
Oh,
more.
cool.
Um,
That's awesome.
absolutely fantastic. So he's Kyle Higgins is doing some really great stuff over there at Image Comics with his. It's called the Massive Verse. So there's Radiant Black, and then there's a bunch of other stories with it as well. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's just great to be a comic book reader right now. I think
What
I
is
think
it?
everybody
Ghost
does.
Machine? Like I have like literally been buying every single thing. Like oh like Rook Exodus is such a great
I haven't
like I
read it
love the
yet, but
art.
I'm looking
Oh,
forward to it.
I've been
Yeah.
just I told them they go, do you want like the other characters too and the arcs and crossovers? I was like, whatever they publish, I was like, give it to me because I feel like we're getting them. Like there was other stuff I thought was going to be more popular that was like okay, but that wasn't. But like these,
Mhm.
like for Ghost Machine, everything just like sold out, and I was so glad that I got the first run of everything. I didn't get any
Mhm.
reprints or anything. I got a couple of special covers, but it's like the stories for everything, the art's amazing. Like it's super
Mhm.
super cool. So I highly recommend people to check out any of their stories. But I'm like excited. I'm like, am I on the ground floor of like DC or Marvel? Like that's what it feels like. And everything's like really good. But yeah, Rook Exodus is one of like my favorite like all time like
Oh,
comic characters now. So, but
yeah.
there's some other really cool ones too. So
Yeah.
yeah, like Geiger is a really cool one. With like his
Mhm.
radiation powers and stuff. It was super cool. But
Mhm. There's a lot
it's
of
really
really
cool.
good independent comics as well.
I love
Too.
indie
So
comics. I'm like addicted. I've never really been. That's why I liked DC. I've never really been like if it's unique and has great art and sounds cool, like I'll try it. So I've gotten a lot of Kickstarter ones too. Super cool.
There's this indie comic artist that he draws them and writes the story, but he does them in black and white.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
he does them to kind of, because it's kind of like a throwback to the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
If you're like a fan of heavy metal, he made this superhero team called the Crimson Six, and they're each of their powers is kind of like one of the subgenres of heavy metal. So there's like a
Oh,
speed
that's
metal guy,
cool.
there's like a glam metal guy. So yeah, it's
Oh,
called
that's
the
awesome.
Crimson Six. It's
Oh, that's
really
cool.
really awesome. So yeah,
That's
by
super cool.
what's his name? Hayden Cockrell. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's cool.
It's terrible. I forgot that. But yeah, no. It's an indie comic. You should definitely check him out if you like heavy metal, if you like just cool characters being cool, just that's right up your alley. So that's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Oh, that's super cool. That's awesome. I
Mhm.
know we're running out of time, but I gotta ask this question. If you
Mhm.
had to fight any group from a fantasy setting, which one would you dread the most and why? Like, who would you not want to fight?
Oh man. I remember you sending me this question. I'm like, man, that is such a good, like, who would I be most scared to fight? Um, because I know my sci-fi answer, but I
Oh,
don't
what's
know.
your sci-fi answer? What's
Oh,
your
the
sci-fi
flood
answer?
from Halo. The flood
Oh,
from Halo.
that's a
No,
good
thank you.
one. Somebody, our my author last time I asked this question about 2 weeks ago, they said aliens, like from Alien. I was like,
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty
Xenomorph. Yeah,
terrifying.
they'd
But I
be
like the flood though.
terrifying. Yeah, well, the
That's a
flood
good one.
because like, yeah, because I think with the xenomorph, it's be like, okay, its goal is to kill you and kind of torment you a little bit, but at least you're dead. The
Yeah, yeah,
flood
yeah.
want to assimilate you into
Yep,
itself, and I'm like, don't
yep.
take that. Like, that's the part that kind of freaks me out. Is like that
Yeah, 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 yeah.
body horror type. That's why I think the
Yeah.
thing is also so amazing because it's like
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say
bullshit
that.
type
Yeah,
body horror type stuff that's
yeah,
freaks me out. So
yeah.
that's why I'm like, no, the flood, no, thank you, no,
Yeah.
thank you at all.
That's an awesome
Oh my
answer. That's
gosh,
a good one.
fantasy thing. Um, again, I'm trying to think of scary ones that I would just be scared of, but I really love all the evil factions too because I think they have such they look real because I'm thinking like maybe the Nazgul, but they're like my favorite villains ever, so I don't know.
That'd be
um,
terrifying though. I think that would be
oh yeah, no,
terrifying.
that would be really scary. Um, that would be really
The
scary.
Witch
So
King just like knocks on your door and you come out and you're
yeah,
like, holy crap.
yeah, no, that'd be really freaky.
Yeah,
Oh gosh. So yeah, I'll just say that the Nazgul. So they're my
yeah,
favorite. I'd be a little scared because you can't kill them.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
try to
yeah.
stab them, you get poisoned. So it's
Yep.
just yeah, they'd probably be a little scary to fight. Pretty terrifying. So, and I'm really short too, so they'd be towering over me.
Oh,
I'd be
I
like
like
one
the
of the
flood though too.
hobbits at
That's
Weather Time.
yeah, the flood's a great answer. So that was awesome.
Oh
Somebody
yeah.
gave me that question a while back. I was like, I just been tweaking ever since. I'm like, this is cool. 'Cause they wanted me to ask them because they were like curious and they like
Mhm.
needed their own time. So I was like really glad somebody from last season asked me to ask them that. So yeah, I just keep tweaking like the same type of question. It's been really fun.
Yeah,
So do you have any
I
news,
love that
updates,
question.
current projects? I know, right? Do you have any news, updates, current projects, anything like that you can share this before we head out for today?
So right now, I'm currently doing my self edits
Oh,
of
cool.
book two, which
Oh,
I
cool.
haven't revealed the title yet. I will reveal the title of that at a later date. Um, but so going through the self edits of it. I'm really excited for it. I think it's a lot better than book one. I'm very proud of what I was able to do with book one, but I do
Yeah.
think this is a much better book. I think I've obviously grown a lot as a writer.
Yeah, yeah.
It's much longer. It's almost twice the length.
Oh, wow.
I think close to twice the length. So it'll be a pretty decent sized book this time. Um, and I'm doing that about quarter of the way through my self edits. I'm also working on mastering the tracks for the audiobook for
Oh,
A
sweet.
Shadow's Vendetta, which is very exciting, very, very exciting. Um, hearing that being read by the great Tom Alexander, who is the
Oh,
narrator
cool.
for it, he just did such an absolutely fantastic job. I cannot wait for people to hear it. So by the time this
Yeah.
episode comes out, it'll be out for a little while. So I'm really
Oh,
hoping,
that's awesome.
yeah, I really hope that he gets a lot of recognition for it. I also hope the composer for the opening music and the closing music for it, I really hope he also gets a lot of exposure and
Oh, that's
recognition
cool.
for it as well. So,
I'm definitely gonna
the,
check that
yeah.
out. I love doing the combo. So
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how I read. I know it might be a little bit more expensive, but like that's how I get immersed into it. I like reading
yeah.
along with the audiobook. Um, so yeah,
There's so many sales now. Like it's like kind of like I
yeah,
bought one yesterday. Paul Yoder. I bought Paul Yoder's like Red Iron Warp or whatever for like it was like
mhm.
438. I was like, why not? You know, and yeah, it was like a really cool narration too. I was like really
Mhm.
impressed. So yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
that's what I got working on right now is book
That's awesome.
two, audiobook for book one, and we'll see what happens in the future. Maybe by this time next year, I'll be well into editing book three. So
That's cool.
that's the goal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's super awesome. I just want to remind everybody that you can find TJ's book, A Shadow's Vendetta. The link is down in the description. Look below you, anywhere where you're watching or listening to this podcast. We want to make sure that you are reviewing all whether copies or products of things, whether it is the paperback version, hardcover, Kindle, Audible, those
Yeah,
kind of things. Helps everybody on the process.
hardcover.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Like TJ mentioned, though, he mentions other people, right? His composer, his audio narrator. So reviewing those products also helps those people get their jobs and more work too. And we couldn't like do these kind of things without them. So please make sure we're following that theme of reviewing and doing that kind of thing for everybody. It's super helpful. TJ, thank you so much for coming on and for first of all for sending me the book. It's absolutely incredible. So I'm like really excited. It's very rare that I
Anytime.
read paperbacks or physical books now. So this is gonna be one of them though. I gotta keep away from the little guy because I want to make sure it stays nice and pristine.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. Make sure you guys again check out that book mail for TJ Cooper, Shadows Vendetta. But make sure you guys are clicking on TJ's links as well. TJ, if there's anything else we can do in the meantime for you before this episode releases, please just let me know, and we can share whatever on our platforms on the Facebook group or really anywhere. So if you need anything at all, please just let me know. But other than that, good luck with the audio book and your edits for book two. I'm really excited to read book one. And yeah, you already got me really interested. So I really appreciate the book
Thanks,
and I
man.
can't wait to review it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, man. No, I really greatly appreciate you bringing me on here. You've had a lot of really great guests on here. Um, and yeah, it's just it's a very nice privilege to be on here. Thank you very much, Daniel.
Oh, I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much, my friend. I hope you have a great rest of the day and we'll talk soon. Sound good?
Sound good?
All right. See you.